So, at the start of this century, the digital revolution, especially in India, had voluntarily begun, and the following years meant a lot of transformation that was to follow for the Indian conglomerates and even the SMEs subsequently. Fast forward to today, the shiny object or the talk of the town happens to be ESG or sustainability. Now, it again is debatable whether it would live through the moments that we had or seen around sustainability and ESG, and to what extent it can actually deliver. The second part is also whether we see sustainability as a standalone function. Do we see that growing independently or being very well integrated and imbibed into some of the existing functions that companies operate in? With that, maybe I'll just also call upon the guests and speakers for this particular session, Rajeev and Santhosh. But first things first, a quick round of introduction about them. To begin with, Santhosh Jayaram is a sustainability leader with nearly 3 decades of experience at the intersection of business strategy, climate action, and responsible growth. He currently serves as the adjunct professor of practice at the School of Sustainable Futures, Amrita Vishwa Vidyapeetham, where he teaches corporate sustainability management and impact measurement and management. Santhosh previously served as the global head of sustainability at HCL Tech, and prior to that, he was a partner at KPMG, where he built and led one of Asia's largest sustainability consulting practices, working across multiple sectors and geographies. Moving on to Rajeev Peshawaria. Rajeev Peshawaria is the CEO of Stewardship Asia Center in Singapore and president of Leadership Energy Consulting Company in Seattle. A global authority of leadership, stewardship, and sustainability, he has held senior roles across some of the world's most respected institutions. He previously served as the CEO of the Accliffe Leadership and Governance Center, Chief Learning Officer at both Coca-Cola and Morgan Stanley, and Head of Pine Street for Europe and Asia at Goldman Sachs. Rajeev is a global keynote and TEDx speaker and the author of 4 books, including a Wall Street Journal bestseller. His latest book, Sustainable Sustainability, argues that traditional frameworks such as ESG are not enough to address today's existential challenges and highlights the critical missing link required for meaningful global progress. And last but not the least, the organizer for the Green Literature Festival, Mr. Benedict Paramanand, and also having multiple accolades and wearing multiple hats of founding institutions and organizations centered around sustainability. He would be the one moderating the panel alongside Santhosh and Rajeev. So over to you, Benedict.
Thank you, Amlan. Thank you, Santhosh, for joining us today. Thank you, Rajeev, for flying all the way from Singapore to be here with us. As you know, we are running short of time, and I'll head straight into the conversation, sustainability thinking and sustainable careers. So we'll start with Santhosh. Santhosh, I think the audience will be fascinated to know your transition from a top corporate honcho in sustainability to academician, and it's called as professor of practice, right? And congratulations for that transition, first of all, and just share with us the experience of your transition. Quickly.
I think throughout my career, I have found myself that once I cross almost 9 years, I feel a bit worried. Am I doing the right thing? And so that's where it happened. So I started my career as a process engineer in a cement industry. And so I was with ACC. 9 years, I got a bit worried. It was at that time the whole carbon market was opening up. 2002, I saw that, although I had done my master's in environmental engineering, so I thought that's something which I wanted to kind of really do. So 2002, I moved there. Then I know 2012, the market is collapsing. So naturally, I wanted to move into a broader kind of a spectrum, and that's how I moved. This shift is more personal, and because it was more of a personal goal that at the age of 50, I was always interested in teaching, and I really wanted to kind of do a bit more research. I wanted to get deeper into what I know, and which is very little. And so that's where I moved into academics and research. So it's that's the way. Yeah.
Rajeev, congratulations on your book, and also congratulations that it's been shortlisted for the GLF Green Honor Book. And I'm sure you are tensed whether you're going to make it to the number one. So all the best for that. And you have written multiple books. And I think you're a pioneer in leadership and sustainability, leadership, steward leadership, and you've been trying to make that concept quite wide, and preaching, not preaching, sorry, what's a better word? Marketing, right word, I think, that word, and you run a very successful institute. So, share with us the essence of your book, Sustainable Sustainability.
Well, thank you very much for having me here, first of all. And Santhosh, thanks for sharing your journey. I think I beat you to it. I was in my 40s when I gave up my corporate job because I had this calling just like you had. Just kidding. Very impressive background. So, sustainability. I realized at some point that we were trying to solve essentially what was a leadership problem with regulation, incentives, and mandates of measurement and reporting, and that was causing nothing but bad behavior. You see, there are $40 trillion in so-called ESG funds. How much of that is going towards impact? Almost zero, right? The more regulation, the more people find loopholes, the more greenwashing. The worst thing that we did is link CEO compensation with ESG markers, because that gave rise to so much bad behavior that I can't even begin to talk. There are 857 ways of measuring your ESG rating, and the correlation between all those frameworks is 0.37, means they don't talk to each other. So then we looked at the companies or the individuals and the people throughout history who have actually made a positive contribution to environment and society. The Tatas in India, the Ayalas in the Philippines, the Faber-Castells in Germany, the Patagonias in America, and we found they don't do it because of regulation. They don't do it because of cheap capital. They don't do it because of incentives. They do it because they want to. And they understand that the more I give, the more I receive. So with that, after studying 100 companies that were profitably solving environmental or social challenges, and the key word is profitably solving, because sustainability cannot be sustainable unless it's profitable. After studying initially 100 such companies, we came up with the steward leadership motto that anybody can do well by doing good. It's okay to be selfish, it's okay to make money and be rich and powerful and famous, but can we please do it by making the world a better place? And the good news is, it's possible through steward leadership.
Awesome, awesome. Happy to say that we've tweaked on doing well by doing good of SustainabilityNext, the magazine that I publish, profit for good. So it's a one step ahead because, yeah. So theme of our session is sustainability thinking and careers. So I'll ask Santhosh, what is your personal concept of what is sustainability thinking?
So for me, many people do ask me, especially post 2020 when the whole of this went through the roof. It was at the time I came out of the site as well. Many people who wanted to shift their careers into this space, they asked me, how do I develop my skills around this? For me, sustainability is never a skill. It's a perspective. So I can ask, I'm an engineer. You are, what did you study? Finance. You ask anybody. They all came from something else. Because it's a perspective, we all kind of moved into this space. So if somebody is looking at it as a skill, I have a problem. So wherever you are, you can, contribute to that. It's only the way you look at it has to change. It's not about developing a new skill or anything like that. So for me, that's how I look at it. Okay, you can say primarily it is a perspective, and then you might require a bit of tuning to it. That's it.
That's interesting. Quickly, Rajeev, what is your definition of sustainability thinking?
I couldn't agree more with Santhosh. It's a mindset, it's a way of life.
Yeah, I guess so. So I'm happy to share that the very purpose of starting Sustainability Next magazine 13 years ago was to spread the, or rather mainstream, the concept of sustainability thinking. The reason I came up with this logic is that we had quality thinking 40 years back, then we had design thinking 20 years back, and they all have played significant roles in transforming businesses. And sustainability thinking is just started, maybe 5 years, maybe 5 years it is catching on, but it's very slow. Looks like it is slow. Do you agree?
Sorry, you are saying sustainability is
Thinking, the how design thinking took off and
okay.
transformed companies,
Yeah.
the sustainability thinking, it doesn't seem to be become more pervasive. There seem to be some resistance, or it's not got the fancy of where it should be.
Okay, so unlike quality, and I think he covers as part of his book, there was a bit of a customer and a consumer kind of a demand, and that was a big driver and all those kind of things. Here, who is the beneficiary? It's somebody who is not a human, or somebody who is, a lesser privileged human, or something like that. So I think the dynamics are different. Yes, at some point of time, even in my talks, I compared it to the quality revolution, but I later realized that it's not the same. There were strong drivers, much more strong drivers. Plus, what happens is that today we have reached a bipolar kind of a situation, in the sense that there is no middle path kind of area. You either on that side or either on side. The moment you talk about sustainability today, you are left oriented. I mean, okay, I come from the state of Kerala, the only democratic communist ruled place in the world. But having said that, I have strong feelings about not the left side. I'm not too agreeable to that. But still, across the world, it's more like the moment you talk about sustainability, you are left. So the problem is that it's in that kind of a context we have seen this slowing down. Because there are very strong kind of sides which people have taken. Yes, in my earlier days, I have compared it with quality, but I later realized that, no, it's not the same as quality.
Yeah, so I think the second part of our session is careers. I think half of you have come here to know where's the sustainability careers available and what are the new areas that are opened up. I think I'm quite happy that to know that sustainability careers are there, they're increasing lots of, but I think every executive today needs to have know enough of sustainability to be effective in his work. Yeah, so coming to careers, so Rajeev, what according to you, for India particularly, are the opportunities for fresh graduates in sustainability?
So I would strongly say that the career sustainability, the Department of Sustainability as a career is going to die. Okay, so if anybody is looking to become a Chief Sustainability Officer, think again. Because sustainability as it is practiced today has been reduced to just producing glossy reports, and the world is tired of it. So sustainability is dead. Long live sustainability. Your point that everybody has to imbibe sustainability thinking. You call it sustainability thinking, I call it steward leadership. Here's the good news for anybody that's interested in sustainability. The history, how many people here want to be rich, famous and powerful? I want to be. Anybody? Rich, famous, powerful? I certainly want to be. Nothing wrong with that. Here's the history of wealth creation. Whenever an entrepreneur was able to put their finger on the biggest pain points of society at any given time and find a profitable solution, huge amounts of money was made. Think railroads, think electricity, think automobile, think so many things, lighting, energy. Whenever a pain point was addressed profitably, huge amounts of money was being made. Today, the biggest pain points are climate change, social inequality, and cyber vulnerability. I sit on a World Economic Forum Global Council, and I can tell you that our data is saying that climate change alone is going to present $10.1 trillion of new business opportunities every year for the next 15 years and can create 395 million new jobs. If you want a career in sustainability, find an innovative, profitable solution to one of those three things. And as far as 17 sustainable goals, SDGs are concerned, focus on one, go deep rather than broad, and that's the career advice I will share.
Yes, that's amazing opportunity, amazing potential. Questions, please. Yeah.
Sustainability, so like Sahas or Hasirudallah who are working with waste pickers and those kind of things. I went to go interview with them. They've asked me to take like an 80% pay cut. And I think a lot of us who want to get into this space, that's one of the biggest problems is what we can get in corporate, being the sustainability officer there versus going to a company that's actually doing sustainability work. That pay gap is massive. So how do you address that? Is that something that the finance is going to come up with? Is that going to change? Or do we actually just go back to the linear models, go work for somebody, get the sustainability skills?
There is no quick answer to that. So the problem is we are living in a world where GDP is touted to be a measure of progress, which is not. It's a progress of growth, economic growth, which is again a wrongly connoted term because your current economics does not feature the natural capital and social capital. So the problem is that it is something which we created as what we want, which has led to what you said. Until unless the basic dynamics of many of these things change, nothing is going to change. It's as simple as that. Of course, I would say a bit contrary to what he said. The pure play sustainability, it's not going anywhere. And it is going to stay, which is slightly different to what he said. The reason is that we need somebody to push that. I want the accounting, tomorrow's, the IFRS to bring in or mainstream natural accounting into the mainstream. I want the social capital to be addressed as part of the economics. There has to be somebody who has to kind of drive that. So for that, there has to be people who have to be forefronting that. And that's the role of Chief Sustainability Officer, not bring out glossy reports. What I know that's what currently most of them do, but that's not. Inside a company, you are there representing a different stakeholder inside that particular company. And that requires that kind of a skill, that kind of a drive, that kind of a belief which you have and that need to be pushed. So I think it's important to have that, but to answer your question, the business economics today work in a bigger macroeconomic, and that macroeconomic doesn't feature anything on sustainability. Let's talk about, like, for example, what's the cost of pure air? I mean, I lived here in Bangalore, night 2 o'clock, if I have to go to my office, I will reach in about 6 minutes. Office time, it takes me 45 minutes. The extra drain from my pocket, the pollution which my vehicle causes, and that causes somebody's, asthma. Where are you factoring all these things? The moment you factor that, many of the solutions like waste picking and all those things become highly profitable. You are not costing that. The main problem is we are in a what I can say, virtual reality which we created, where we do not feature, we talk about clean air, we talk about clean water, but we don't have a value for any of those. Sorry.
No, that's a very valid point, and accounting of what do you call the nature services. Nature services is very important. Question? Yeah, Radhika.
More a comment than a question. Thank you so much for bringing sustainability.
Can you use a mic?
But I just want to
No, we need a mic because you're recording.
Yes.
Yeah, just to add to what you said, sustainability within a corporate is not a vertical, it is horizontal. So it is across every aspect of business, and if it is viewed that way, I think it's a very different lens.
Good point. Amazing point. Any other question?
Yes, we have one here.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I'm an alumnus of the Tata Institute of Social Sciences, and I can sort of vouch for what she's saying. That about the last 3 years, about 75% of the graduates went, without a job, and that speaks for the sustainability and this environment that we're in, because it's very posh, it's very elitist, and reduces a lot of people out of the equation. So that's for one. Secondly, a lot of people who get into those jobs, they pay very less. I happen to see one employment opportunity for about 10 years of work experience for 35,000 rupees, which is a very miserly pay for someone. And lastly, I would like to ask you, so we have a lot of social inequalities in this country, right? And I have particularly worked on a couple of startups. My postgraduate major was social entrepreneurship. So I did work on a lot of social inequalities, but it does not really factor into the financing and the business model sides of things, which sort of is structured in a way where it limits you. So when you say that inequality is a major part of the next set of developments that are going to be done in the entrepreneurial space, could you elaborate a little bit more, just to educate me and the larger audience as well?
So, all I said was that inequality is one of the major existential challenges that we have, and we need to solve for it. The other day I was in Dubai 3 days ago in a conference, and I made a similar point, and somebody says, but I disagree with you. We've always had inequalities. There were kings and conquerors, and then there was everybody else. There was always a huge gap between the haves and the have-nots. The difference is we are 8.4 billion people today. We used to be less than 2 billion people back, less than 1 billion people back then. So when you take inequality today, the consequences are amazing. And I'll give you a small story. The way we are going to solve it for inequality is not by regulation and not by government edict and not by anything else, by innovative business. There is a hospital group in India called Ujala Cygnus. Anybody heard of them? 29 hospitals in North India and growing. 50 to 60% of the patients are treated cashless. Okay? It is a fireable offense in the company to deny treatment to somebody who cannot afford it, and yet they are profitable and growing like crazy. So what's the innovation? If you're treating people without money, how are you making money? The answer, very simple. Almost every Indian is covered by Ayushman Bharat or a similar scheme. The problem is most of these illiterate villagers don't even know how to fill up the form. So the big innovation of Ujala Cygnus is he's tapping into millions of people who want treatment but can't get it from the Medantas or the other fortresses of the world, right? So he says, I have a huge pipeline of revenue coming. He employs an army of administrators in every hospital whose job it is to do the paperwork for these poor people, illiterate people, and get the money. He says, my problem is not revenue, my problem is not profit, my problem is it takes 1 year for the money to come. It's a cash flow problem. Fast forward that 1 year and I'm making money. Simple. Point is, we have to find profitable, innovative solutions both for environment and society, and we need to convert the sustainability conversation from a risk, compliance, and cost headache to a opportunity, a profitable growth opportunity, and an opportunity for happiness and prosperity for individuals.
Nice, great one. Just like businesses are spoiling the environment, I think it's the businesses that can solve the problem as well.
On that point, does anybody know out of the top 100 largest economies in the world, how many are companies and how many are countries? 69 of the top 100 economies in the world by size are companies. So business has to solve it.
I think we have time for one more question and we can wrap it up.
The problem with the business is that historically, business has always made money, or the so-called businessmen have always made money through exploitation. Let's be very clear. And I'm using this word very responsibly. Take East India Company, the very first company. What did they do? They exploited the resources. Move forward. Talk about any of the new age IT companies. What are they doing? Exploiting your privacy or exploiting the data which you have. Any business Actually, very early, 2015, we were doing a survey as to which sector publishes the most sustainability reports. Top came mining, second came banking. So somebody asked me, Santhosh, why banking? So my answer is simple, they are also an extractive industry. In a different form, that's it. So the problem is business models have always been that where you make the money is where you exploit. Let's be very honest, in the earlier session, he ended by saying that India is a service kind of a country. I mean, he was very polite in saying the word service. Let me tell you, there is only one business model in the whole of India. There is only one business model in the whole of India. It is cost arbitrage. You talk about IT, you talk about automobiles which are exported. What is your business model? It's cost arbitrage. I can make it cheap. Now where does this cheap come from? You are exploiting somewhere. It's as simple. You know, the problem is today we are talking about sustainability, we are talking about a completely new dimension of economics, we are talking about new energy sources, all those kind of things. Let me tell you, across the world, nobody is ahead. Nobody is ahead. Everybody is almost at the same start line. The people today who invest into the right thing are going to be tomorrow's. Who can crack the storage problem? They are going to be the big ones. And if we do not spend on R&D, deep tech R&D, where are we as a country? No, and that's what he presented. How many patents? How many this thing? We are not. What is our model? Cost arbitrage.
I think in colloquial word, dhanda means you maximize. Yeah. So one last question. I think the energy is building up. I think the session is getting livelier. You have a point. There's no question. Yeah.
So, I don't want this session to end on a pessimistic note. So I'd just like to say that there are plenty, I agree with you, but there are plenty of good people who have found a way to make money by addressing our existential challenges. My organization in Singapore has an award called SL25, Steward Leadership 25, where we award the 25 most promising profitable solutions of environment or society all across Asia Pacific. And the key word is you have to solve it profitably. I am very glad to say the maximum number of winners from the last 4 years is from India. Okay, and I could tell you brilliant stories about how these people have innovated and are making money by solving these problems. But I agree with you, that is the minority. Here's the final point I'd like to make. 8 out of 10 people in the world are driven by dhanda, make money, extractive industry, and I don't care about the word. And that is good news. Only 2 out of 10, if at all, are actually doing what I'm talking about, which is making money the steward leadership way. But 2 out of 10, 20%, and that's great news. 8 out of 10 will not listen. So why is it great news? If only 2 out of 10 will listen and do something about it. Why is that great news? Because of something we learned in 1906 by a genius called Wilfredo Pareto, the Pareto principle or the 80-20 rule. We only need to convince 2 out of 10 people to make money the right way. Sustainability and ESG practices is declining right now because we've been using unnatural means. The natural thing that all of us have is greed. We want to make money, we want to be successful. Can we put that greed to work by making the world towards making the world a better place? That kind of win-win-win is what we need. And we will do it if we can convince 2 out of 10.
Yeah, great point. Let's end with this observation of mine, which is that India has very profitable social enterprises. The example, what I've studied a little more deeply is Arvind Eye Hospital in Coimbatore South. So they are profitable, although they give 30 to 40% free service. So India has enough examples to prove to the world that it can be very innovative. But, it's a big, big but, India has a problem with scaling. We may have 100 amazing social enterprises in India, but they reach a certain level, but they are not able to scale because one of the reasons, banks, they don't finance them. Yeah, they are still seen as, even though they are profitable, money is not given to them. And you know who all get all the monies. So on that positive note.
Just one thing, I won't take too much of time. So because most of the things I talk to you is to kind of, bring out some conscious in many of the people who hear. But let me kind of bring out the kind of the job and the kind of the career over EV hitting quite big. Who is getting impacted more? The roadside mechanic. Or, for example, many of the things which are transforming today, like, for example, the COP in Glasgow, just before that, UK wanted, they came out with a subsidy for bettering the insulation in the houses. The applications were plenty, but they had to stop the subsidy because they didn't have people to do it. So there are enough skill sets or jobs out there in the new dimension of economy which we are growing, which as countries we are not looking at. And I think, for example, even a carpenter, even a mason, talk about the way in which their life is transforming to integrate sustainability into their thing. So I think it's very important. So I think from that aspect, every job, today we heard from a lawyer, we heard from a finance guy. So you can look at it. I mean, talk about, we have a new climate finance taxonomy by Government of India. Will there be a banking guy who will not understand the taxonomy and say that I am a banker? No. So I think the important part is, one is sustainability will become the core in many of the things going forward. So the professionals who are there in their respective sides will have to kind of take this seriously. The other part is there will be a big flow of specialists in the sustainability area, whether it is water, air, and all those kind of things, because of the challenges which we face over there. So there is a huge opportunity for people in the sustainability side. Maybe there is a small dent right now. The reason for that is the Dunning-Kruger chart, if you know. So what happened is that suddenly everybody started talking about sustainability. So the hype went. Naturally, the Dunning-Kruger effect is a reality, right? So anything which has a hype goes up and it comes down. Then it hits a plateau. So we are now in that downside. We are going to hit that plateau, and that's where the jobs and that's where the skills are going to come out. So on that positive note, so let me also end on the positive.
Great. Thank you so much, Rajeev, Peshawaria, and thank you, Santhosh, Jayaram, for doing this. Thank you. And thank you, finally, to AU Small Finance Bank for sponsoring us. And may you do more green banking. Thank you.